Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star original continent based on novel. So let's start. Go, said Primal Chaos City leader. You all have the map of the World of Jyn. You don't have Luo Feng's guidance this time. Hopefully, you can all pass the screening of the army. All the Universe Masters were respectful and flew out of Star Tower. The group of Universe Masters from the Hong Alliance then went into their true palaces and flew toward the World of Jyn, through the Universe Membrane and into the World of Jyn. Some even flew there by themselves. As time went by, those who had sent the great beings from the same power into the World of Jyn all came back, yet Luo Feng's Star Tower still floated in space. Luo Feng. Primal Chaos City leader turned around and looked at Luo Feng at his side. No need to rush. Luo Feng nodded and smiled. A silver spaceship flew out of the World of Jyn, and it flew toward Star Tower. It shrank as it approached Star Tower and flew inside. What is? Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng, confused. I said I gained quite a lot in the World of Jyn. Luo Feng turned around. Golden Horned Beast, bathed in black light, walked in. I've taken the prizes back. Prizes? Primal Chaos City leader looked pleased. He knew that Luo Feng had high enough authority to kill all Universe Masters that entered that World of Jyn, and he was capable of doing that all at once. This was true authority. So naturally, getting abundant valuables from the World of Jyn was a piece of cake for him. However, Primal Chaos City leader wasn't sure how many valuables Luo Feng had acquired. 10 machine-type valuables, said Luo Feng. And 100 true god-level true treasures. Luo Feng didn't seek to conceal it, as it wasn't worth concealing. Compared to the huge amount of military credits he had, it was a drop in the ocean. That many? Primal Chaos City leader was dazed. He knew that it had been a rewarding trip for Luo Feng, but this was outrageous. True God-level valuables are supreme true treasures in Universe Ocean. 100 supreme true treasures. This is incredible. That's equivalent to all the supreme true treasures of all the powers of Universe Ocean combined. Luo Feng shook his head. That was before. With all these great beings now entering the World of Jyn, the valuables in Universe Ocean will greatly increase. That's right, Primal Chaos City leader said with a nod. We can't just give them away easily. We have rules in our race. Luo Feng, you got all these valuables, so you have every right to decide how to distribute them. Individuals must pay a price for them or make a huge contribution to get them. Luo Feng nodded. I have my own plan as well. Certainly, they need to make contributions. They were at the highest status in the human race. It was up to them to decide the rules among the humans. It's time to go back. Luo Feng looked at the space outside, took control of Star Tower, and flew outside. Ever since being sealed and bestowed with the strength of a world, by the godly king of Jyn country, other than the godly king, who had never appeared, Luo Feng had the highest authority in the World of Jyn. He could easily get anything he wanted in the World of Jyn without any trouble. After all, he could suppress even an eternal true god with the strength of the World of Jyn itself. Luo Feng could now shift his focus back to Universe Ocean and the human race. However, he left his original body in the World of Jyn. For one thing, he could stay there to get valuables anytime. Plus, he could only be MIA for a short period of time. If he vanished for too long, seniors such as the 4 generals in the World of Jyn would be worried. Boat of Mausoleum is back. I can also take Wu Chi God out. After all, I'm invincible in the World of Jyn, so there's no need for Wu Chi God. Golden Horned Beast is also back, because there are many dangers in Universe Ocean. The Earthling original body was preparing in World of Jyn. He was waiting for the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land and the United Force to come in, but that could take several months. He decided that the date of the massacre would be 1 year later. The bug race territory of the original universe. Sector beasts. Could there truly be beings so terrifying? Bug Empress sat on the throne and contemplated. We haven't fully prepared ourselves yet, so there's no need to rush. Even if we rush there now, when we arrive outside the miniature universe of the world of Jyn, the universe membrane may no longer be white. We must prepare ourselves. We'll enter in the fourth era. We need to get as many valuables as we can. Actually, for all the powers in Universe Ocean, although many universe masters had entered the world of Jyn, only a few true gods had entered. Each true god was the pillar of a race, and once a true god died, its miniature universe would crumble and all the creatures inside would die. So when true gods thought about going to the world of Jyn, they needed to exercise extra caution. They also had their own desires, and the message from the original mind helped them make up their minds. Some entered the world of Jyn. Some planned to wait and enter the world of Jyn in the fourth era. In the original universe, at the center of the human territory, in the primal secret region. This machine-type valuable is so powerful. Primal Chaos City Leader stood there. His entire body was engulfed in golden light. There were 3 pairs of golden wings on his back, permeating powerful forces. It was indeed a wondrous-looking machine-type valuable. It was also a top-tier machine-type valuable Luo Feng obtained. I can be 2 levels more powerful with this valuable. He shook his head. No wonder the original mind asked all the great beings to enter the world of Jyn. It has to, said Luo Feng. Without the threat of the sector beasts, we wouldn't have even been allowed to find the world of Jyn. That's right. Primal Chaos City Leader nodded. While traveling back to the original universe from Universe Ocean, he tested the power of the machine-type valuable and was amazed. It might have been difficult for other human universe masters to acquire the valuables, but Primal Chaos City Leader had easily gotten a machine-type valuable, a soul-type supreme true treasure, a palace-type supreme true treasure, and a domain-type supreme true treasure from Luo Feng, all for free. Primal Chaos City Leader knew that a storm was coming, so he didn't reject them. Luo Feng, you have made as many contributions to the human race as Teacher Origin, said Primal Chaos City Leader, as he traveled back to the original universe. Teacher, you've been guarding the humans from within, said Luo Feng, guarding and managing our race. You make our race prosper. This is the most important contribution. When Primal Chaos City Leader was back in the original universe, he could only wield power at top-tier level 6 even with a machine-type valuable. But he was still thrilled about the valuables he had obtained. If Huge Axe had these valuables, he could have. Primal Chaos City Leader sighed. Teacher, but just as Luo Feng opened his mouth, he frowned. Primal Chaos City Leader looked to the outside. It's the 3 Ancestral Gods. Let's go. They both disappeared. The 3 Ancestral Gods from the Ancestral God School stood above the endless remote ocean. Remote Ocean Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City Leader appeared together. Why are you here, Ancestral Gods? Said Primal Chaos City Leader. The aged Ancestral God said, Chaos, we're here for Milky Way Horde Leader. For me. Luo Feng frowned. That's right, said the youngest of the Ancestral Gods. According to the original mind, even though Milky Way Horde Leader is only a universe master, he's the strongest great being in Universe Ocean. The strongest great being in Universe Ocean. Primal Chaos City Leader was shocked. This was coming from the original mind, so it carried great weight. With great power comes great responsibility, said the young Ancestral God. The danger is coming, so we need great beings to deal with it. When we were sharing the information about sector beasts with all the powers from Universe Ocean, we told them that universe masters weren't able to fight sector beasts. However, we were only talking about universe masters in general. That doesn't include you, Milky Way Horde Leader. Double-faced Ancestral God added, Milky Way Horde Leader is the strongest great being in Universe Ocean. If you can't defeat sector beasts, nobody can. Even though you are only a universe master, you have multiple bodies, said the aged Ancestral God. Even if one of them dies, this endless remote ocean can quickly make one. The only things lost would be some valuables. This is the crucial moment that decides the fate of all creatures in Universe Ocean. Milky Way Horde Leader, you have multiple bodies, and you're the strongest. You're the most suitable one to fight sector beasts. No need to flatter me. Luo Feng smirked. This is only temporary. Those Universe Supreme Masters haven't got machine-type valuables. Once they acquire some, their power will surge, then I won't be the strongest. As for the sector beasts. He shook his head. I'll decide whether I'm going or not. Killing sector beasts is a huge contribution, said the aged ancestral god. You will be able to ask the original mind to repay you. If you make enough contributions, even Teacher Origin, suppressed by the original universe, could be released. What? Yelled Primal Chaos City leader. Teacher Origin. Released. Luo Feng was thrilled as well. That's right, said the young ancestral god. The more contributions you make, the more you can ask from the original universe. It's more difficult to ask the original universe to release Teacher Origin than asking for some machine-type valuables. The original mind says that once Teacher Origin is released, he can immediately make a breakthrough and reach a new level. Presently, he won't be released and will be destroyed when this universe era is over. However, since the sector beasts are a threat to all the races, so if you kill them, you can release Teacher Origin. Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader gave each other a look. Milky Way Horde leader, said the young ancestral god, if you have any doubts, you can come to the ancestral god secret region and ask us. We can talk to the original mind directly and give you an answer. We won't stay here for long. Then the three ancestral gods smiled and flew away. This is a major crisis that could exterminate all races within the universe ocean and bring the human race to its end. Primal Chaos City leader told Luo Feng, after watching the three ancestral gods disappear. It may be important to help Teacher Origin regain his freedom, but compared to this major crisis, Teacher Origin's situation seems mild. You must never, ever be influenced. Also, he added. Now, you are merely a universe master, but your combat power is already quite powerful. His brows furrowed as he frowned. Once you become a true god, your power will definitely increase by a few more levels. By then, it will be much easier for you to deal with the sector beast. You will also be more confident. And now, the willpower of the primal universe origin is guiding you, encouraging you to go to war. Is it truly because it earnestly wanted the sector beast dead? Or because it wanted to borrow the efforts of the sector beast to kill and destroy you? After all, other than huge axe, none of us really exchanged blows with a sector beast before. Known to be the existence that represents destruction, its attack methods should be absolutely terrorizing. Even if you have multiple bodies, if your soul is exterminated, then the various other bodies would perish altogether. If the willpower of the primal universe origin truly wants you to kill the sector beast, then you have no cause for worry. But if it intended to borrow aid from the sector beast to kill you, then you need to exercise extreme vigilance. This is where you can never let your guard down. After all, for countless years, even if the sector beast was truly unstoppable, at the very most, the primal universe would self-destruct and transform back into the origin. When the worst was over, it could still evolve back into the primal universe. The power of the primal universe. For anyone to truly be able to destroy it from the fundamental level, it is simply unheard of. If that was so, then why would it want to kill the sector beast? Is it for real? Or is everything merely part of a larger plot? Luo Feng nodded repeatedly as he listened. It was true. A sector beast represented destruction, but the primal universe represented life. A sector beast would take an extremely long time to be born, but the primal universe was continuously undergoing destruction and rebirth. In fact, it had never truly been destroyed before. This was because even a sector beast had never been truly able to destroy the primal universe. I understand, said Luo Feng, nodding solemnly. After all, Teacher Origin is already suppressed, Primal Chaos City leader lamented. If even you are being led to annihilation by the willpower of that origin, no matter how confident I am still very much aware that in certain aspects, I will never be as good as you and Teacher Origin. Luo Feng did not rush his way to the land of darkness. After all, according to what the willpower of the origin had openly said, it had to be destroyed before this reincarnation era. What a lengthy unit of time a reincarnation era was. After all, Luo Feng had not even lived past 10 million years. Compared to a reincarnation era, that was such a short period that it carried little significance. This was why Luo Feng had more than ample time to prepare. At the same time, Luo Feng was also preparing for the upcoming big sweep. Another couple of days passed. In the Milky Way galaxy, within the Milky Way Holy Land, remote ocean, Luo Feng sat in the 9-story tower floating before his eyes. Earlier, he had completed the comprehension of the 3rd stage of Shawu wings. But, following the increase in the level of secret technique, even Luo Feng, who was on Star Tower, could roughly comprehend how much more profound the secret techniques were at the higher levels. He would likely stay here to study and comprehend. Luo Feng also hoped that, through his understanding and his grasp of the various other secret techniques, he could also boost his progress on the godly body path. On the godly body path, all comprehension of life genes had, in fact, something common to the secret techniques, the Rhinoceros Emperor game, and several others. They all had some degree of connection to one another. Teacher. Remote ocean, Luo Feng suddenly stopped what he was doing. With a flip of his hand, he retrieved a communication token. Luo Feng. There was incoming news, and it was sent by Sitting Mountain Guest. Immediately, remote ocean Luo Feng grew serious. Ever since the 4th most dangerous land had emerged, Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest seemed to have disappeared, and did not seem bothered about any of these anymore. Teacher, Luo Feng responded. Those 3 ancestral gods must have already looked you up, Sitting Mountain Guest said. Luo Feng was taken aback, but still, he replied, yes. Humph. Other than you, there is no one else they can look for, Sitting Mountain Guest replied. But you have to bear this in mind. Do not hasten into going over to the land of darkness. After all, that place is the nest of the sector beasts. There will be many sector beasts inside. If you are ready and have decided on when to go over to deal with them, come look for me before you go. Luo Feng was filled with uncertainty. Teacher, over to your place. You just need to remember to do so. Sitting Mountain Guest cut off the communication line curtly. Luo Feng was dumbfounded. What is going on? He frowned as he tried to make sense of his doubts. Previously, Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest was usually considered someone with an even temper. He had always been very concerned about Luo Feng, too. But since the emergence of the 4th most dangerous land, Sitting Mountain Guest had changed. Even in the midst of such massive events, he had not bothered looking for Luo Feng at all. This time around, Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest made a sudden call to Luo Feng, and although it was merely a curt conversation with a single instruction, Luo Feng could feel that teacher was, most likely, still deeply concerned about him. There seemed to be some changes in teacher's temperament, Luo Feng whispered. Could it be due to the World of Jyn? The 9-volume manual. It is a set of lost knowledge of the Jyn dynasty that was not supposed to be imparted to outsiders. Star Tower is a true treasure that was most likely created by a true god. I had my suspicions earlier on that teacher was related to the Jyn dynasty. Plus, teacher has ordered me to look for him before I go ahead to deal with the sector beasts. Luo Feng's brows furrowed as he sank deep into thought. He was no fool. Of course he could feel how mysterious teacher was being, and he felt that the secret that Sitting Mountain Guest was keeping would be quite a big deal. Luo Feng cast everything aside. The most important thing that he had to prepare for at the moment was the big sweep. In a blink of the eye, 1 year had passed. In the world of Jyn, at the military camp of East Army, at the base camp of Python River Army, Luo Feng was in the hall of his stone house. Ring of military point. Luo Feng wore the ring of the military point on his wrist. Activating his godly power, there was a sudden change in the surrounding time and space, and a figure bathed in golden light appeared out of nowhere. Lord Milky Way, the figure bathed in golden light greeted. Show me simulations of all the law masters and true gods who passed the selections for the 4 major armies that I have investigated on so far, Luo Feng commanded. Within the year, he had carried out as many as 6 rounds of investigations to ensure that he was constantly kept abreast of the overall number and any information about the great beings from the United Forces Alliance and Purple Moon Holy Land that had entered the world of Jyn. Yes, the figure with golden light responded with reverence. Within the vast surroundings of the space originally only occupied by Luo Feng and the figure bathed in golden light, numerous figures were rapidly appearing. These figures followed a very systematic way of queuing up. They all stood unmoving on the same spots, looking like fools while exuding their life auras. In the world of military arms, it was relatively easy to simulate life auras. Luo Feng looked around while carefully sensing with his godly power. The basic appearances of certain universe masters remained the same. After all, the natives of the world of Jyn had not seen them before, so whether or not their appearances were different did not matter much to them. This was why, by just searching with his naked eye, he could already discover a few targets. Keep these 61 and clear away the rest, Luo Feng ordered while speedily using his godly power to lock down 61 universe masters amidst the crowd. Yes, the figure bathed in golden light replied in reverence. Suddenly, a large number of warrior figures started vanishing one by one, leaving behind 61 warriors who were lawmasters. Show me the list that recorded the time they entered the army, Luo Feng ordered. He had just given his order when, instantly, above these 61 lawmasters, their accurate times of entry into the respective armies appeared in order of precedence. These 61 lawmasters arrived in batches. Luo Feng looked and nodded his head in silence. In total, they were divided into 5 batches, and the final batch entered 2 months ago. So, from 2 months ago until now, there isn't a single one that entered the army. Based on what he had investigated over the course of the past year, during the first month of the Third Era, he had only set the average number of soldiers joining the army at 12. From the 2nd to 8th month, an outbreak was considered to have occurred. The number of soldiers joining the army was at its peak. With the passage of time, at the later stage, the number was obviously reduced. Then, in the final 2 months, there was no longer anyone joining the army. I suppose the numbers of universe masters from Purple Moon Holy Land and the United Forces Alliance are almost reaching their limits, Luo Feng said to himself. Throughout the year, Purple Moon Holy Land had a total of 110 universe masters joining the army. On the other hand, the United Forces camp sent 166 lawmasters. This can be considered one batch. In total, Purple Moon Holy Land must have a total of 205 warriors still alive. And the United Forces camp must have a total of 238. Luo Feng nodded as he thought it over. I suppose the majority of universe masters from Purple Moon Holy Land have charged their way in, and it is likewise for the United Forces Alliance, where as many as half of its forces may have barged their way here. It was undeniable that the two groups of powers attached great importance to this. Or, rather, every universe master harbored an intense yearning. If the number that was eliminated during the selections was also taken into consideration, then the number of universe master who came in was evidently much, much higher. Judging from the number of warriors, it's quite obvious that the number being disqualified during the selections is not big. Luo Feng nodded discreetly. Seems like, during selections for the universe masters from my universe ocean, their death rates were much lower than those of the natives of the world of Jyn. Luo Feng speculated that the various powerful groups would act in batches. Every batch would most likely bring along some treasures, and there might even be supreme true treasures among these treasures. After all, some of the universe masters from the various groups, who entered the world of Jyn during the First and Second Eras, had carried out exchanges with their race's supreme true treasures at military points, to ensure that they had maximized their benefits. It went without saying that many of the supreme true treasures within Universe Ocean were treasures at the level of true gods of void space. Even for those that at true god level, some of these were very unique. By seizing the world of Jyn, he would be able to exchange quite a fair number of treasures of a true god level. It's time for action. Luo Feng took in a deep breath, as a glimmer of murderous intent flashed momentarily in his eyes. The 4 generals. Luo Feng established direct contact with the 4 generals of the 4 major armies through the world of military arms. Merely a short moment later, 4 simulated figures appeared not far from Luo Feng. Milky Way. Milky Way, why have you summoned us? That's quite rare. Harmonious Snow and the other three generals had already acknowledged Luo Feng as the heir of Godly King, as they were aware that Luo Feng could make use of the strength of the world of Jyn. They were also aware that His Majesty the Godly King greatly favored Luo Feng, so the moment he summoned them, they would naturally turn up without further ado. I want to kill a batch of lawmasters, Luo Feng said in a straightforward manner. The four generals were flustered. Kill a batch. Kill how many? How many millions? The four generals were very worried, as they were reluctant to kill too many warriors so brutally. Such an event would bring about chaos. Luo Feng laughed. Fret not. Not even 500 of them. Not more than 500. The four generals could now laugh along with him. Such an insignificant number of lawmasters. It would be equivalent to a normal fight within a random tribe, where the number of lawmasters who died was unknown. Fewer than 500, this was not substantial enough to trouble them into rendering their service. The reason why I am requesting that you four generals lend me a helping hand is because all these warriors, close to 500 of them in total, are scattered among the four armies, Luo Feng explained. My plan is to attack and kill them all in one move, and my requirement is that these must be sole attacks. They are scattered all over the four military camps. Killing them all in one go is very difficult, so I can only consider it if I enlist the help of all four generals. If you all could execute your miniature universes together to enshroud the entire military camp, I would be able to eliminate all those souls directly in one go, and none shall survive. Soul annihilation occurred at the same time, and none of them could survive. Luo Feng was indeed demanding, but this was the first time that he asked the generals for help. It was like the blink of an eye to the generals, so they wouldn't say no. This is really a very easy task. I don't anticipate any problem with me finishing that. Milky Way, please tell me all the life auras of those nearly 500 soldiers, and that is all that I need. The generals didn't care at all. The world of Jyn was enormous. 500 lawmasters were like a drop of water in the ocean. Luo Feng nodded. He turned his head around and looked at the golden being beside him. I have inspected those soldiers many times, and I have already located all those lawmaster soldiers. Please simulate all of them. Based on the distribution of them in the four armies, send them to the four generals. Yes, Lord Milky Way, said the golden being. The military point world in the military point rings used by the four generals showed figures of soldiers. They all had different auras, but they were all lawmasters. Fewer than 500 in total, but I have 201, said Harmonious Snow from the East Army, smiling. I only have 60 in my North Army. The generals were conversing casually. Based on the locations, the East Army territory had the most great beings from Universe Ocean. 443 in total. Luo Feng looked at the generals. Generals, please perform your miniature universe techniques at the same time. Once all of you locate the targets, notify me immediately. I have a communications token. I'll send a message to all of you at once. When you get my message, you can perform soul annihilation on all the targets at the same time. Okay. The generals nodded. Are you saying that we can start to locate them now? Yes, now. Luo Feng nodded. At the East Army camp, Harmonious Snow stood above the camp, overlooking the army. With one thought, a dimming and transparent membrane was formed around the army. The giant universe membrane seemed borderless, enveloping the entire army camp. None of the soldiers realized what was happening except for the true gods of void space commanders. It's a miniature universe. It's our general. One true god of void space after another in the entire East Army was baffled. They weren't afraid, actually. Eternal true gods were able to form miniature universes with a single thought, and they were able to wield enormous power inside those miniature universes. However, with just the force permeating from the universe itself, it was very difficult to kill a true god of void space. Be quiet, the cold voice echoed in the ears of all the commanders. Everything will go back to normal instantly. Yes, General. All the true gods of void space were respectful. None of the Law Master soldiers, or true god soldiers, knew what was happening. "I've found the targets," Harmonious Snow notified Luo Feng. Soon after, the generals sent messages to Luo Feng. "I've found the targets in the West Army. I've found the targets in the North Army. I've found the targets in the South Army." On the quiet island, the water in the lake kept splashing the shore. After all, the lake was larger than all the oceans on Earth. At the center of the island, Luo Feng sat on top of the stone house. There was a desk beside him. On the desk were a wine cup and a token. Luo Feng poured himself a cup of wine and held it. Then he sent the message, "Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it." The generals received the message at the same time. Those 4 generals who were performing miniature universes wouldn't have any mercy for those Law Master soldiers. They were already at an extraordinary level, so they had been through countless killings. Kill. 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 All 4 generals condensed into a streak of godly power one after another, and those traces of godly power landed on the targeted soldiers while attacking them. If they were required to kill 100 million Law Masters or more, even the 4 generals were unable to do it at the same time. However, some of them were only required to kill around 50 of them, while the maximum that they were required to kill was only barely over 200. It was like a walk in the park for them. In the East Army camp, the order of Father God is that we must get more machine-type inheritances. Then the automaton race will become stronger. But we need to adapt first. We need to get some military credits. The 2 great beings of automaton race were transmitting their voices with expectations in their eyes. Suddenly, their bodies stiffened. They fell down. On a grey planet in a remote territory of the original universe, the Holy Land, ancestral star of the pattern shell race. Ancestor. 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 Undying fighters, sector lords, and 6 universe knights were groveling, listening to their ancestor talk. "All of you sitting here represent the core of my pattern shell race, and you are the hope of our race. I have found the mysterious inheritance from a faraway and dangerous place. With this mysterious inheritance, our race will become much stronger. I'll leave it to you first." The voice came from a seated elder being. It had black wrinkles everywhere on its body, 2 firm antennae on its forehead. "Consider this carefully." He immediately separated part of his godly power and gave it to the elites in his race. This was a powerful race in the original universe, but it was nothing compared to pinnacle races. He immediately passed the precious inheritance to the great beings within the race in case the top being died and weakened the entire race. Just as he was sharing his knowledge, Pattern Shell Ancestor suddenly looked terrified. Then he went silent, and his life force quickly withered away. The core great beings, who were mesmerized in the midst of the inheritance, all opened their eyes. However, they could tell that the life force of their ancestor was no more, and the valuables their ancestor had given them became ownerless. Ancestor. The entire pattern shell race was in a panic. Without their ancestor, their status would be quickly reduced, and they wouldn't be qualified to occupy such an enormous territory anymore. However, in their opinion, their ancestor was quite powerful and had multiple bodies. How could he die so easily? In a space in the original universe, a strange beast with 3 beautiful heads and a hoarse voice floated in space, and the area around it rippled. "They dare to defy me. We've joined the United Forces Alliance. Those weak races are nothing. How dare they defy me? Disciple, go and destroy that Huatong race." Another strange beast with 3 heads was groveling. "Yes, teacher." It raised its head and saw that the great being floating in space had instantly lost its life force. Its heads all fell down. "Teacher, teacher." Some of the universe masters died silently. Some died in front of others. Some of their bodies disappeared. Some of their bodies fell. Some were the leaders of their races, and some of them were the seniors of races. In the world of Jyn, Luo Feng held the wine cup, sipping. He saw scenes flashing in front of him. Some races were yelling as they were being slaughtered. Others were moving. One universe master after another died. Some of the races only had one universe master, and with their universe master dead, their fate would become very miserable. They wouldn't be able to stay in the territories where they resided for long, because they didn't have that power to maintain the territory anymore. The fate facing them was grim. Luo Feng then saw other scenes. In the human territory, trillions of life forms were crying. Mothers were carrying children. However, they were immediately annihilated. Many planets in the human territory were conquered, and the humans living on those planets fled. Too many. This is how it works among races. Luo Feng muttered, holding his cup of wine. When I was still weak, I saw that spies from other races would just self-destruct and destroy entire planets, killing all the humans after they were found. The four pinnacle races treated the outer domain territories like war zones. They slaughtered all the races living in outer domain territories. Fight. Survival. Luo Feng would do whatever it took, no matter how cruel, to survive. This was already the ideal outcome. He had killed all those universe masters at once, rendering the entire United Forces alliance weaker than ever, forcing those races to move away after finding that their leaders were all dead. They would have been the ones best suited to save their races. If they kept fighting the humans would become stronger. And when the humans were able to trump them all, they would start slaughtering all the races instead of just killing some universe masters. Of course, this result was destined to render those races pathetic. They needed to run, and they might be attacked by their enemies. Milky Way, all the targets have died. Milky Way, all the targets have died. Some of them didn't have souls, but they were killed anyway. Milky Way, no one survived. Luo Feng received the message from all the generals. He trembled. Finally. He didn't appear happy about the ending he'd been waiting so long for. There was a trace of cruelty glinting in his eyes. He then poured himself another cup of wine, swelled it, and poured the wine out. He looked at the wine and muttered, "You deserve to die for the humans." This video will end here.